Hello, I am QuadMed registered dietitian nutritionist Jenny Harnack. March is National Nutrition Month. We would like you to focus on how you can personalize your nutrition to fit your needs. The theme of National Nutrition Month this year is Personalize Your Plate. I'm here today together, but apart, with QuadMed registered dietitian nutritionist Kelly Webster. We are going to demonstrate healthy versions of 4 different recipes that tend to be more comfort food type of recipes. The first recipe that we'll be demonstrating today is crispy fried chicken. We'll be demonstrating roasted vegetables, rice cooker mac and cheese, and a smoothie bowl. So let's get started. The first thing you'll want to do is preheat the oven. So I've already preheated the oven to 375 degrees. So let's get started preparing the roasted vegetables. As you can see, our roasted vegetables today are going to be a colorful display. I've already started cutting up some of them. We'll start with our zucchini. When cutting vegetables, you can choose to use a large chef knife, or if you're more comfortable with a smaller knife, you can choose a small paring knife. I like to use a small paring knife for most things. Simply trim off the ends of the zucchini and discard. You'll then slice the zucchini right down the center and cut in about 1/2 to 1 inch slices. We'll add those right to our bowl. There we go. And then we'll prepare our onion. The recipe calls for a red onion, but you can use whatever onions you have on hand. Just about any onion will complement this recipe. So carefully hold with a firm grip your onion and slice off the ends. Discard the ends and then peel off the wrapper. This sometimes is easier to do when you cut the onion in half first. Then you can easily access the outer skin. Simply peel off the outer skin. When we're roasting vegetables, we always want to make sure not to cut them in too small of slices. When they're cut too small and they're roasted at a higher temperature, they can easily burn. So as we cut our onion with our large chef knife, I'm simply going to cut the half the long way, and then cut that into just about 6 sections, about 1 inch each. Those will roast up nice and evenly. Next, we're going to prepare our green pepper. We'll rinse the green pepper first, which I've already done. I also like to use a nice vegetable scrubber to make sure that I remove all of the residues. I use a scrubbing rag, but you can use whatever type of vegetable scrubber you have at home. So just do a nice, firm, abrasive scrub with some friction to help remove some of the waxes that may be on the product. After you've done that, you simply take your knife, whichever you're comfortable with, and cut your green pepper in half. Sometimes helps to use a smaller knife to remove the core. Simply place your thumb on the edge of the vegetable and gently slide your paring knife around the edge and discard that core. Do the same with the bottom. If you're more comfortable, place it right along the cutting board there for easy and firm grip. Okay, we'll continue to trim off the membranes and remove and discard all the seeds within the green pepper. After you have the cleaned out green pepper, we'll again cut in about 1 inch strips and about 1 to 1.5 inch cubes. That way the product won't burn when it's roasting. And we'll do the same with the second half quickly. Okay, next we'll prepare the broccoli. To prepare the broccoli, you can simply take your small or your large knife and cut off the big chunk of the stem all the way up towards the florets. Do a nice, steady, and firm push with the knife through the core of the stem of the broccoli and discard. You should be left with just the florets of the broccoli, which can just easily be pulled apart and added to your bowl. If you end up with a larger chunk, you may want to use your knife and break that apart into smaller pieces right here on your cutting board. Firm and slow slices through that core to make sure your knife doesn't slip. And finally, we'll prepare the carrots. So first we want to take a vegetable peeler and peel away from us the skin right off the carrot. So just one stroke slips down the edge of the carrot to peel and discard our peels. Also, if you have a compost bin at home, it's always great to save some of these scraps and add them to the compost. Makes for a healthy summer garden. And then cut off the edges, just as we did with the zucchini, and discard. With the carrot, we'll just simply cut it in about 1-inch chunks. And note that when we get to the skinnier end of the carrot, we're going to cut them a little bit larger again so that they don't burn. Add those to the bowl as well. And now we're ready to prepare the roasted vegetables for the pan. Roasted vegetables are one of the simplest things to prepare. You simply drizzle with any type of cooking oil. Today we're going to use the grapeseed oil. Avocado oil is also a great choice. We always want to select an oil when we're roasting at a high temperature that has a higher smoke point. So these oils are great because they don't become unhealthy or oxidize when they get to higher temperatures. So we'll do a nice little drizzle of the oil over the vegetables. We've measured out 2 tablespoons here. And then we're going to sprinkle with some of the seasonings here. There's some Italian seasoning and some pepper. And if you'd like to use salt, I didn't today. It makes a lower sodium version, which is much healthier for the heart. Go ahead and sprinkle that. And then we'll go ahead and just use a spoon or a spatula and toss your vegetables lightly and gently. You'll notice that I haven't added yet the garlic or the tomatoes. The tomatoes are going to be added at the end, and the garlic we'll just add sprinkling right on top once they're out on the pan, so we can make sure it's distributed evenly for good flavor. So I'm going to dump these out here on our roasting pan. Today I've prepped just your basic roasting pan, and I've lined it with foil so that we make less of a mess. This makes cooking a little bit efficient and helps with nice even baking of the vegetables as well. We spread those all out on the pan here. We'll add our garlic next. For the garlic, we were using 2 cloves of garlic. Today I'm using fresh garlic. You can always purchase already minced garlic, which you can purchase in a jar in your produce department. That's perfectly fine. Some people have a garlic press at home. You can use that to cut up your garlic. Otherwise, a nice little tip would be that I just actually microwaved these garlic cloves for 15 seconds in the microwave. It makes the skin really easy to slip right off. So you'll see that I have the clove right here. I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the tip of it, and the skin slips right off. From there, we can cut it in whatever size we like. I love garlic. I love to taste it, so I like to cut my garlic in larger chunks, even slices, like so. And you, of course, can cut them smaller if you'd like it to be dispersed a little more evenly with a little bit less of a powerful bite. After we've got our garlic cut up, we just kind of sprinkle that evenly off the cutting board all over our vegetables. All right, our vegetables are ready to go in the oven. So I'll note that about 10 minutes prior to the end of cooking the vegetables, we're going to add these cherry tomatoes so that they don't become overcooked and mushy. They'll just be nicely roasted towards the end. The next recipe that we are going to prepare is our crispy oven fried chicken. The first thing you'll want to do is trim your chicken. So I've already gotten started here, and you can see that the chicken breast that I'm using is not only skinless. Make sure that we're using skinless poultry, whichever cut of poultry you'd like, but that will help reduce the saturated fat content of the chicken, which will make this a much healthier recipe. So also you'll notice that these chicken breasts are quite large and can easily be cut into about 2 or 3 different servings. So we'll just gently trim off any of the remaining skin that you see present, trim to your preference, and then turn over the breast and cut off anything remaining on the underside. Gently, when we're trimming poultry or any meat, we want to make sure you use a nice sharp knife so that we are not sawing at it or putting ourselves at risk of cutting ourselves. Easily we'll cut through the meat. Okay, so now we have our trimmed chicken breasts. I'm going to go ahead and cut these in 3 more pieces. So we have small, easy baking pieces. When we cut it into smaller pieces, not only are we portion controlling, but we're also making this product a little bit quicker to cook. The larger breast is going to take much longer to cook. Okay. And we have about 8 chicken portions here. We'll go ahead and pat them, clean them up with a napkin here. You want to rinse them first, which already has been done. And then we'll prepare our dipping solution. For this recipe, we're going to have a nice healthy dipping solution made of skim milk and a little bit of poultry seasoning. So here I have our poultry seasoning already measured out. We'll just whisk that right on in with the skim milk here. Until it's thoroughly combined. The next ingredient for our coating is our breadcrumbs, and that's simply all it is. The dipping solution, the milk and poultry seasoning, and breadcrumbs. The breadcrumbs that we'll be using today are actually homemade breadcrumbs that I've made from the crust of a nice whole wheat bread that is 100% whole wheat. I like to do that sometimes when I cut the crust off the bread when my kids aren't eating it, or for whatever reason you might cut the crust off the bread. I just dry them out on the stovetop and for a day or so, and then they crunch up really nicely in a NutriBullet or a food processor. In addition, I've also added some crunched up Triscuit crackers. That makes a nice coating as well. So I've made a little bit of a combo between some breadcrumb crusts and some Triscuit crackers. Another option is some whole grain cheese crackers, like a whole grain goldfish, especially if your kids like cheese flavoring. That's a fun add-in here too. So the possibilities are endless as to what you can use for breading here. You could be creative and use the things that you like. Additionally, you could just purchase a whole wheat breadcrumb as well, and that would be a simple solution also. So we've got the breadcrumbs already in our gallon bag where we will shake them up to get them ready for the recipe. To this bag, we're also going to add our seasoning mix. What I have here is already some black pepper and crushed red pepper combined. We'll go ahead and add in our garlic and our onion powders. Both are powders, not salts. This helps to keep the sodium of the recipe minimized. So we'll stir those up to combine them thoroughly so that they're evenly distributed. And the last thing we'll add to our seasoning blend here is a dash of paprika. Stir that up again here, and we'll add this combination to our breadcrumbs. Seal the bag and shake it all till it's combined. And now we're ready to dip our chicken to prepare it for the oven. So we'll take each breast and just dip it thoroughly and coat it with the milk mixture and add it in here to the bag. And this portion of breading the chicken goes really quickly. This is a very fast, easy weeknight recipe here. Remember that you can use whatever cut of poultry you'd like, dark meat or white meat. I've got just breast here today, but just making sure that we're skinless here. Okay. And the next thing that we'll do is seal up the bag without releasing the air so that the chicken breasts are able to move around and be coated by the breading thoroughly. And then we'll add them right to this baking pan, which I've already prepared with a non-stick cooking spray. Just give it a gentle shake. If you have kids at home, they love to do this part, so make sure to call them into the kitchen to help with dinner during this part. And we just shake it up until the breadcrumbs have thoroughly coated all of those chicken pieces. Doesn't take long. Open up the bag and you'll see that we have nice lightly coated chicken breasts ready to go into the pan to bake. Lay those out evenly in a single layer and we'll have a low sodium, low fat, flavorful oven fried chicken. As I'm placing the chicken into the pan, I try to take care that the thicker pieces are on the outer portion of the pan and the thinner pieces are on the inside of the pan, just because the outer side of the pan usually bakes a little hotter. So we've got those pieces that are going to get a little bit more of the heat and the thinner pieces will get a little bit less of it. This will help with even cooking of your chicken pieces so we don't dry any out. Now I like to take a little bit of these extra crumbs. The recipe doesn't say this, but I like to do this at the end just to kind of add a little extra layer, if you like, of the crumbs and not waste as many, with some extra crisp and flavoring. And once we've coated all the chicken breasts, then we go ahead and cover this pan with foil and add both this and the vegetables right on into the oven. And they're ready to bake while we prepare our very quick and easy, healthy side dishes.
Thank you, Jenny, for starting our comfort food meal with some oven fried chicken and the roasted vegetables that are currently in the oven. I'm going to complete and round out our meal with the rice cooker mac and cheese and our smoothie bowl for dessert. I'm Kelly Webster, one of the registered dietitian nutritionists with QuadMed. Let's get started on our rice cooker mac and cheese. Rice cookers are all the rage, and I love all the new kitchen gadgets, so I'm going to be using it today to show you how easy it is to use. Don't worry if you don't have a rice cooker. You don't need to run out and get one in order to make this recipe. There's some easy modifications that can be done so you can do it stovetop, which may be more familiar to you. So the reason why we picked mac and cheese as a comfort food is because we found 3 ways to improve the nutritional quality of it compared to boxed mac and cheese or some kind of processed one you can find off the shelf. So I'll show you how we can improve the quality of that mac and cheese. First of all, it's starting with the pasta or the noodle. Barilla makes a high protein pasta, which might have a better mouthfeel for those people that don't like the whole wheat pasta. And Banza is a brand that makes a chickpea pasta. So the benefit of using one of these pastas compared to the traditional enriched white pasta or elbow is that any of these options I just mentioned are going to have double the protein and double the fiber of a normal elbow mac. Therefore, more nutrition, and isn't that what we're looking for? So we are going to add, watch how easy this is, our measured pasta, our measured water, like seriously, kids will get really excited that they get to make the mac and cheese, and you can feel good knowing that you're making a healthy version of it. You do want to mix it Make sure none of the pasta is stuck to the bottom. And simply press for 1 rice cooking cycle. After the rice cooker has gone through 1 cooking cycle, it will indicate that it's done. It's time to add the remaining ingredients, which, unlike those processed boxes of mac and cheese that have crazy ingredients like corn milk solids and trisodium phosphate, all kinds of weird things, we want the real quality ingredients. And look, it's low-fat milk and reduced fat cheese. So we're going to put our measured low-fat milk and reduced fat cheese, shredded of your choice, into the prepared pasta and stir. Then put the cover back on to let it warm and let the cheese melt. Once the cheese has had a chance to melt, your simple rice cooker mac and cheese is ready. Please know that you can always add some extra spices like black pepper or cayenne pepper if you want a kick, or use a variety of other cheeses. My kid really likes to use the Mexican cheese in this recipe.
Okay, it's about 10 minutes until our vegetables are done, so we're gonna go ahead and pull those out of the oven and add our cherry tomatoes. This way those will just slightly roast but not get overcooked and mushy. Okay, our vegetables are all finished now. It's time to pull those out of the oven and drizzle them with some lemon juice lightly. The lemon juice will help add a salty flavor without adding sodium to your vegetables. Our chicken is all done now. We're going to pull it out and do a quick temperature check. We want to make sure that the center portion of the thickest chicken is at least at 165 degrees before we eat it.
It's time for our final recipe and, of course, my favorite, dessert. So we're going to make a fruit smoothie bowl, and there's lots of ways you can make this. There's really no right or wrong way, except we want good quality ingredients into our dessert. So what we're gonna start with is 1.5 cups of frozen fruit. You can choose any frozen fruit you want. You know that frozen fruit, especially in the winter months, is next best to fresh fruit. They really don't pack much frozen fruit into sugar solution anymore at all. All you'll see in these frozen bags of fruit is the actual fruit. That makes it a good quality choice and an easy way to get more fruits into your diet. So I'm using 1 cup of raspberries and 1/2 cup of mixed fruits, bananas, strawberries, and peaches. I thought that would make a good combination, but again, possibilities are endless with the type of fruit that you choose. So get creative when it comes to that. Next, we're gonna add plain yogurt. Plain yogurt is gonna add the creaminess to our smoothie bowl, and also some zing and zest if you've ever had plain yogurt. Believe me, the flavors are all gonna balance out and really have some quality dairy food going into our smoothie bowl as well. Next, the secret magical ingredient is my chopped zucchini. What? Vegetables in our dessert? That's not even right. You won't even taste it, and guess what we're doing? As we're adding some zucchini to our smoothie bowl, we're also adding quality nutrition. Hey, if you're not gonna be able to taste it, and we can get more vitamins and minerals in, why not? Let's not stop at dinner with our vegetables. We're taking it all the way to dessert. Okay, we are going to use some ground flaxseed. Ground flaxseed is a very good source of omega-3 fatty acids. So a lot of people think of salmon as your stellar source of omega-3 fatty acids. If you want a plant-based source, ground flaxseed is your go-to. Not only does it enhance it with some fiber, a little bit of nutty crunch in our smoothie bowl, but it's also very heart healthy. So a really good addition for an extra superfood punch into our dessert. All we're doing is adding all of our ingredients in. This is one of the most simple desserts you could ever make. We're gonna add a natural sweetener of honey. That way we don't need to have any added sugars or refined white sugar to our dessert, which should be a goal when we're making dessert. So we'll add our honey. And last but not least, for another natural sweetener, we'll use vanilla extract. All our ingredients go into the food processor, or you can use a blender, and it's time to mix up. Once you've had the mixture completely mixed and all one smooth consistency, pour into 4 dessert bowls. Finally, after our smoothie bowls are all dished up, we can garnish with whatever garnish you want. I'm choosing to use chopped walnuts. Usually any kind of nut is really good on in a smoothie bowl. So it doesn't have to be walnuts. And just to go with the theme, I'm going with more raspberries because this looks super awesome, and let's be real, I love raspberries. So there we go. We have our nutritious and amazing smoothie bowl dessert ready to go for after our dinner.
As you can see, we now have our finished product. We have a well-balanced meal that's made up of healthy versions of some common comfort foods. It'll be nutritious, delicious, comforting, and very satisfying with a variety of nutrients.
Jenny and I want to thank you for attending our first virtual cooking event. For more ideas on how to personalize your plate, for tips, recipes, and resources, please go to the National Nutrition Month website at www.eatright.org. Thank you.